All right. Hello, everybody. Hello, lovely students. Today, we're going to make a kind of leap forward. We're going to be drawing this guy. And sometimes I used to make this my first lesson that I ever taught anybody. And it does work for beginners. So I will tell you that anybody at any level can do this. And if you're questioning that, you can look at what book it comes from. Drawing with Children. So I can, and what I'm going to ask, but I've since introduced the other two lessons first because I think they're good warm-ups for this lesson. I'm going to ask that you not jump ahead in this lesson, and I'm going to ask that you follow exactly what I do in the order that I do it. And the reason that I'm going to ask you, I don't often ask you to do that, but the reason I'm going to ask you this time is that you are going to find that your left brain is going to get in the way of doing this, of learning your visual spatial, of like growing your visual spatial skills. So you're going to catch yourself doing it. So I want you to try not to do it, even though it's a little tedious. And then you'll see. We'll go from there. Everybody ready? Ready? Warmed up? Let's do it. Okay, so let me see here. We're just going to start with this flower, this single flower. I've sent it across the thread, so you all can take a look at it up close too. I like to have it here so you can kind of see, the kind of side by side. And so we're going to start, believe it or not, with these guys. And we have and that's because they're in the front, right? So I don't know if you remember last week when we talked, or in the last couple classes when we talked about this, right? When my hand is here, it's smaller than my head. When my hand is here, it's bigger than my head. And when you're drawing something, you're drawing like a picture, you start with the thing that's in front so that you can use it, right? Because you can see it all, and you can use that to define everything else, right? Proportionally. So these guys are actually kind of waving in front of you. And we're going to start. And oh, does everybody remember the 5 families of shape? Can you name those for me? We're going to use them. What are the 5 families of shape?
Family of shape.
There were circles.
Yep,
right?
there's a circle family.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And there were, like angle lines, right?
Angle lines. Yep. I'll just put them right here. So there's the circle.
Yeah, circles. There was, but there were also
family.
straight lines, right?
Angle lines. Yep.
And I don't know what they were called, squiggly lines, or
they are not called squiggly lines.
Okay.
Actually, it's a technical. This is like a good thing to know, right? Curved lines.
That makes more sense, yes.
Right. That's a little more technical. And actually, and what is the one that we're missing? We're missing one. It's interesting because this is the one we're going to be starting with. We're missing the dot family.
Oh, dots, yes.
Yes. So everything we can draw from circles, dots, angles, straight lines, and curved lines. Everything. And that's what this is. So we're going to start, because we're just starting with this one. I'm just seeing how low I can make this so you can see everything. I'm just trying to see if I can set it up. I want you to be able to see everything. I've got to go up just a little bit. Let me know if you guys are having trouble seeing. So we're actually going to start with a dot, which is the center here, right here. So literally, you're just going to put the center of the flower here as a dot. And then before you draw these lines, these straight and curved lines, you're actually going to kind of draw these kidney bean shaped dots. So if I'm putting I'm going to mark this so you can really see it. I'm going to mark this in orange so you can see it. So there's your dot. The problem of working. Hot pink. There, you can see that a little bit better. Right, these dots, you want to see if you can guess kind of how close in relation they are to here. So I can see that here is my dot, and then here is a little kidney bean shaped dot kind of over here. Here is one. I'm going to ask you not to draw. Here is one. If you line it up with the center, it's here. Do not draw the lines. We'll talk about why in a minute. This one kind of lines up with this one on the other side. You see how I'm this one kind of comes a little bit lower. You see how, and then the last one is kind of down here. So I should have one, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 dots. You should really see that. So why do I draw these dots first before I draw the lines? Well, that's simply because if you guys noticed when you did your first drawing exercise, that it was easy that you struggled to keep proportions, right? Correct. Remember that very first drawing exercise, the hardest thing everybody said was to get the proportions right. What ends up happening is we exaggerate the size of things. And so if we want to kind of contain this, right? We actually, it helps to find the endpoints and the outside points of an area that we're drawing. In reality, we're drawing something that's kind of shaped like that. So now that I've done this, I can draw my kind of curvy lines. Notice that all the lines go back to here except for this one. This one comes to here. This one goes like this. And you can look at you can use your phone, your WhatsApp thread, to look at you can look at it if you want to, the picture up close, if you're struggling to see it here. And when you think you've got it, hold them up or send it across the thread. Looks pretty good, Echo. Yeah, looks great. Echo, good. Hold it up. And also notice I'm kind of pushing you. Good, Agatha. Great. Dorian, we're just waiting. Hold it up. I'm kind of pushing you to go a little fat. Looks great to me. Looks good, guys. Great job. Some people do what I would like to call a left brain mistake when they make this, and I want to show you what it is, which is they do this. This is what's here, right? They see this is what's actually happening here with this particular flower, but some people will do this. Right? And what's wrong with that?
All the same.
Yeah, I mean, it's not what's actually happening here. But why do you think people would do that? Any ideas? Does it seem like it makes sense?
We like
Maybe
pattern.
Yeah, generalized distance.
Yeah, like we like hi, Anik, how are you? We're just
Hi.
getting started. Yeah, we like patterns, even when they aren't there. And when you're not sure how to draw like one thing in front of the other, you just organize it in a little pattern. So I want you to keep this in mind because nobody did this, which is great. Great job. Take this off. All right. How are you, Anik?
All good. Sorry, I couldn't join last week. My husband had birthday, so
Oh, that's great. All right.
we had the celebration. But I'm here today.
You're here now. This is the important thing. Okay, so here's what usually happens. Once like we get these things in, the other thing people will do is kind of start from the center and move outward. Because of what we talked about before, that can be problematic. You can make things too big. You can, as you're looking at these things and following outward. So we want to actually get the outer shape of the thing we're drawing before we draw the inner shapes. So we're going to start with, we're just going to go one petal at a time. And really, we're going to use this to help us get started. So if you can see here, there's like two straight lines, one on either side of these two dots on the left. And then two straight lines. It's like a little simple house, really. And it stops here. I'm going to have to go up a little bit higher. Okay. And then I noticed I drew an extra line. Here. Notice that I drew an extra line here. Anybody know what this space is called? Anna, you can say.
Negative
Yeah,
space. or-
Negative.
It's the negative space, right? So in our drawing, the negative space is the space that's not the object, the subject. And in a drawing, the negative space shape is as important as the subject itself. Can you see how your left brain would be doing a backflip and, you know, losing its little mind, right? Your left brain is like, holy shit. Like, so how do I don't even know how to like compute that. So think of it kind of like a puzzle piece. I'm going to draw, let's see. Yep. So I'm going to draw this line first, which kind of goes up. It's really a straightish line that comes up to, if I line it up, notice it kind of, if I come straight across from here, it comes up to about there. And then I'm going to actually sketch this line in to see, do I have that shape correct, that negative space shape correct? In a way, it's like we're carving out our drawing. I'm going to, does anybody want me to look at their drawing now, or do you feel like you've kind of got it? I like to go through the whole outer shape and then take a look and do corrections. Does that work for you guys?
Yes.
I can also look at every shape, but it will take a lot longer if we do it this way. All right. So then once again, the question is always, where do you start and end, right? So if I'm wanting to draw this petal, I have, hold on, I need one more thing. I need a Sharpie. Not Sharpie, but it walked away. All right, I'll do the best I can. So instead of starting to try and draw this line and guess where they end, I'm actually going to find the end point here. I'm going to locate this first so that I have something to work towards. And if you notice, this point where this petal ends is lined up and to the right of the center, the very first line you drew. So I'm just going to come over to my center dot, go to the right, and then I have an endpoint. Can you see how that's a little bit easier? Then when I do this, watch this for a second. I have a straight line out, right? Kind of going out at an angle. And then instead of drawing these as curved lines, I'm going to actually draw them as a series of straight lines that go in like that. I can round those out later. See how much easier that is? And then I know exactly where I start. People, you might be wondering why we're not drawing these inside lines. We're not going to bother with this until we get the outside shape. That intellectually is something that nobody ever figures out. But if you think about it, if you don't figure it out on your own, and people who teach themselves to draw do not teach themselves to draw this way. But logically, it makes a lot of sense. Logically, when we're trying to construct something, like if you were building a table, right? You don't, with beautiful ornate legs, you don't start by carving an ornate leg. You chop a piece of wood that's going to be your tabletop, and then you chop 4 pieces of wood that are going to be your table legs, and you make sure they're the same size, right? And the same shape before you start adding any detail. So this is construction. This is what's called construction. And by the way, this next one is kind of the toughest one. You might have to, and I'm going to just draw this in here so you can see it. You may have to adjust this a little bit because finding this endpoint is really tricky. You can see that this kind of comes out at a diagonal, and that if I draw this line, it doesn't go straight down, kind of goes a little bit to the left. So I'm going to go straight down here and then go a little bit over to the left to kind of come up with my endpoint. And then this is not a difficult line. It's just it's an angle line, right? 2 straight lines, a little one, and then a straight line down there. And then this line here. Kind of looks like a little bit like half a continent of some kind. But you may find that you'll adjust this, right, a bit. That's okay. The idea behind this also is not to have to get it perfect the first time. If we get these bigger shapes mostly right, it's going to be easier to correct later on. So we're actually presuming that we're going to make a mistake, which is one of the things I really love about drawing, is that you actually presume. Hey, Angie, sorry about that earlier. I'm going to ask you to absolutely do everything I do and do not jump ahead in this exercise. Okay. And the reason is, the only reason I'm being this anal and this much of a soldier is I'm teaching you a concept about how to draw things, right? And it's going to challenge the way we teach ourselves how to draw things. Mostly I won't be this difficult. Well, that's not true. I am a bit of a soldier, a bit of a drill sergeant, but only in the most kind way. And then, or in the it's best for you way, I guess. I don't know. And then of course, now I want to find, right, this point. So notice I'm constantly orienting to my original lines that I put down to kind of make sure I've got things in the right places. So here is my center. And if you'll notice the sort of edge of this petal goes directly down. So I can come here, go directly down, a little bit wider than this one, put that point there. And then I can add that down. If I want to make it a little bit longer, which I believe I do, I might bring it up a touch. See how that changes things? It's interesting. And see how I can make that adjustment without getting too kind of caught up. Right? And then we're almost there. And then it gets really fun. This is a little bit tedious, this part. We're measuring, we're checking, we're looking at shapes. We're and if anybody wants me to look at your piece, if you're like, oh my God, I think it's totally messed up, send it over to me and I can help you problem solve it. But if not, we'll take a look once we finish the outer shapes here. You'll notice here, let's see. So here, that this is down. If I put my pencil straight across at the edge, the bottom edge of the this petal, that this petal comes down a little bit farther. So I'm going to go straight across and down a little bit. Maybe over here. Oh, yeah, I went a little bit too far. Here. I know that because I looked up here and went, oh, this should be kind of lined up more here. So there we go. So I'm finding my kind of, once again, my end point this time. Too low. I want it to be lower than this, but not that much lower. All right, so that there's a slight slant. And then this just goes straight over in a straight line down, straight line over, straight line down.
Wait, hold on.
If your brain is feeling a little broken, that is really good. That means we're getting right in there and exercising you. My brain. Obviously, my brain is broken around the idea of trying to translate time zones. I was telling Agatha earlier today and Angie, I'm like, oh my God, I just completely flipped that around. How absurd. So we've got this negative space. Now, here is our, we've just got 2 more petals left. So you can notice that this petal starts, here's the center. If you go a little bit diagonally down and to the left, like that, from here to the center down, that's the end point of this flower. And then it's just a series. And notice I'm not trying to draw this all in one thing. I'm kind of breaking it down into pieces. So it's a little bit round here. And then it goes up to here. And then I'm going to go up. I'm going to change direction and go up. And then over to there. And if I want to, I can bring this in a little bit so it goes a little bit farther. Not too much farther. This next one is the one, it's probably the trickiest. Give you a minute to get there. I'm actually going to go get a little bit more coffee, so I'm going to let you guys get maybe a minute. Okay. All right. So our last shape is a little bit crazy here, our negative space shape. I like to try and start with these lines up. So there's like a line that goes up like this and then down. Yeah. It's just kind of a little rectangle right in here. So I try to get that shape first. And then a little curve down here. And then that's pretty good. I might have to bring it up a little bit. We'll see. I'm always looking for ways to kind of make shapes that I can see, right? That are easy to see. And you will find this idea of using the negative space is so huge in drawing because your left brain doesn't even think about what isn't there, does not think about this, only thinks about what a thing is, does not think about the shape of things. But the right brain is all about puzzle pieces, right? Putting things together, entirely different logic skill set, completely. And you will notice that although I have the advantage on you here because I've done this lesson probably 1,000 times, even I have to adjust. I'm not doing it right every time, right? A lot of it depends on, so I'm constantly referring back to the same kind of tools that I use to make this work. And then we're almost done. I swear to God, we're almost done. Here is the final like shape and negative space. And that's, no, wait, I'm sorry. Messed that up. Let's do this. Let's do it like this. All right. Yeah. Now, we're going to start from this edge and go to here. There we go. We're going to go from that edge to here. So we're going to go up. And then we're going to go up. And then it's a little hard to see. And then over. And then we're going to stop about here. And then our last line is just going to be there. Up, over. Notice I stop. All right, so now I would like you. So I want to make a couple of observations. One is that I think I need to bring this up just a teeny bit. So I'm moving it. I'm making this go a little higher. I'm making this go lower. Yeah. Okay. So notice how easy it was for me to correct that. I can also kind of curve things a little bit. So I want you to notice that this, even when you get this right, this product is extremely unsatisfying from the left brain perspective. I'm convinced this is why people don't teach themselves to draw this way, because at this point, the drawing looks like a squash starfish. It doesn't look right. It doesn't look right till we start adding in our shading, which we practiced last week. But this is right. That's like what I will say. So go ahead and work on your shape. And when you think you've got it, send it over. And if you're having trouble, please send it over. That is why I'm here. That's why we do these classes live. I don't expect you to know how to get it right. I expect you to get a little tangled up and confused. My job is to untangle you. So go ahead and do that. Send your drawing across the thread as soon as you know. Right. So, and just to chat while you're doing this. Yes, let's see. Anik, you know what I'm going to tell you. Get rid of these. Get rid of those inner lines. They're not there. Get rid of them. They're not there. They're not helping you. Ooh, Angie, nice. Very nice work. Excellent. Excellent. So notice but I'm going to use you as an example. Okay, Anik. So notice that Anik added in lines that actually aren't there. I'm going to pull this up and I'm going to show you. And that's a left brain thing, right? This is like a desire to want to fill in the lines. Some of them are there, but the two of them aren't. So do you mind, Anik? Can I use you as the example?
Use,
I know you can
use
take
me.
it. I know you can take it. So here's Anik's piece really big. Can you guys see it? So although this line is here, this line is actually not here. And neither is this one. They don't exist actually in the drawing. This one doesn't, and this one doesn't. She did it because she's trying to kind of complete those petals in her mind. But it's not correct. It's not actually what's happening. So that's why I'm saying follow my directions closely. Do not add lines that are not there. And don't add them in before we're ready for them. Also, Ani, color in these guys, these little dots. Hold on. Where did I go? Color in the little kidney beans, these like little shapes here, because they're dark. Let's see, who else? take this, Echo, Angie. Okay, so Echo, I'd say you're in pretty good shape, but your flower is kind of collapsing a little bit on this side. And notice that the negative space you created here is too small. So the way to fix it is to erase. Here, I'm gonna actually pull this up. Do you mind? Can I do that? I want to, it just helps for me to be able to
I don't
point it
mind
out.
at all. It's just
You're not the only one who has like made this mistake, believe me. And it's easy to fix. Where is my share capacity? Here we are. Share. All right. Okay, so you can see that this, if you look at your negative space shape, you will realize that it's not the same as what's happening here. It comes down too low, so this line has to come up
which line?
where the pointer is.
Oh, I see.
This line has to get longer,
Okay. How do I
right?
make it longer? So I have to.
Well, you erase everything that you've got here,
Okay.
right? And then you start your petal up here, the bottom part of the petal up here, where I'm pointing.
Okay.
So erase that. Otherwise, and then, oh, this one, oh yeah. And actually, here's what really messed you up. I don't know if you see it. So this is not, so see where I'm pointing?
Yes.
This is not far enough down. So this is not
Okay.
big enough.
Okay.
And this is way too far over.
I
So
see.
this dot needs to come here. You'll see it'll be much easier to draw this if you move this here. Oops. Sorry. Damn it. How did I? Here, I'm going to stop the share and do it again. So these are these start and end points, right? And this is the thing that's really hard is here. Hold on. Let me. Oh, nope. That's Onyx. God, good Lord. Part of my problem is I have to go between left and right brain when I'm doing this. Sometimes it's like really hard. Hold on. Where are you? You are here. Okay. Agata, I'm going to tell you, you did the same thing Anik did, and I'm going to have you erase. So mostly pretty good.
What did they
Here.
do?
Hold on a second. Actually, let me give Echo one more direction too, actually. And then I'll get to you. All right. And then we'll get over there. Sorry, getting there. Share. Here's Echoes. All right. So this needs to come, this dot needs to come down farther.
Yeah.
Right? And then this dot needs to come in. And then you will
Which
find,
dot? Which
look, right here, where I'm pointing.
Which dot needs to come there?
This, do you see this point that I'm pointing at, which is the
Yes.
edge of this? It's too far out.
Okay.
Needs to come in.
Okay, I see.
Closer.
Okay.
Closer. So once you bring this point down and you bring this point in, you will see it will be easier to recreate, to sort of so just erase everything around those things, right? Not
Leah,
everything.
can you send send maybe the one you draw in the chat so I can copy that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a great idea. I'll do that right now. Let me, and then Agata, I'll take a look at yours. But mostly pretty good. Yep. Hold on. Wait. This requires, yes, okay. Give me a second. I've just turned off the camera, so my camera, so I can send this over to you. This one's mine. And also, here's the kind of original. I'll send both of them with their sketches. Drawing. What, for those of you who find yourself, like what I want you guys, oops, sorry, here. That. Here are mine. So one of the things I want you guys to notice in this is that when you can see the shapes, you can do it. And when you when your left brain starts struggling with what's happening, that's when you start to have trouble. Okay, so Agata, I'm going to tell you this as well. Let's go up to yours. I'm going to grab it on the WhatsApp thread. Okay, now I'm going to share it on the screen.
Leah, can you, when you get a chance, can you send your drawing in the group chat?
I did.
Oh, you did?
I
Okay,
did.
sorry, I didn't.
Oh, did I send it not to the group chat?
I
Oh,
don't.
maybe I didn't send it to the
Nothing.
group chat. Did I send it?
I don't. I am not saying.
I sent it to the wrong chat. Sorry about that.
No.
All right, that's what happened. Oops. The class is probably like, what the heck? Oh, I see. Here we go. Okay, WhatsApp. Nope. Way, cancel. Beginning drawing. Let's try that again. Here we are. 1 and 2. How's that? Okay, and Dorian, so I'm going to be able to help you with this because you went off the in a similar way. You went a little bit off the rails, like Echo did, and I'm gonna push you back. All right, but in the meantime, let me talk to Agatha about this because there's 1 or 2 things. Hold on. Yes, that. All right. Can you guys still see there's a screen share happening? I'll stop it and start it again. All right, I'll start it again. Okay, so Agatha, one of the things that you did is exactly what Anik did. You added lines and they aren't there. And you also tried to continue this all the way into the center. And I actually asked you to stop here. So what I noticed is, and there's one other thing I noticed you did. This is great. So get rid of these lines, right? This is lined up pretty well. This is starting to drift, this point here where I'm pointing to the left. And really it's directly underneath. Move it a little to the right, and that's going to help you. And then if you look at this shape, you need to thicken this shape a bit and move this up a little bit. So this point, this needs to kind of, I would erase this petal and I would erase this side and I would add in this side at the right thickness. I see you had it there and you took it out. And then redraw these lines, right? Yeah. Okay. Okay. So Dorian Sola, so here's the first thing that happened.
So
this point here, hold on. Yes. Did you have a question before I got started?
Yeah, I realized too late that the screen is flipped for me.
That's the problem.
So then I quickly try to like redo
Oh, that's right. All right, you did pretty good considering.
Yeah. So sending it in the chat is helpful because yeah.
All right. Do you want, okay, so let me point out a couple things and
Sure.
then I'll look at yours and then yes. Oh my God, what a mind bender. I don't understand why that happens sometimes and doesn't happen for other people. Does anybody know why that happens in Zoom sometimes?
If you're
Is it
using
the browser?
Because last week I had everything flipped and I was using the browser and today I'm on the app and I don't have the
How
system.
fascinating. All right, so that might be a helpful thing. Okay, so I'm gonna do 2 points for you. I'm gonna show you. So this point that you have here should be here. Can you see that?
Yes.
Yeah. And then that changes the shape of this, right? And then this shape, if you get this here, this shape looks pretty good. What will happen is when you bring this in, you'll bring this down more. So really the thing you want to look at is this shape here. I'm going to stop the share and point it. If you compare your negative shape and yours to mine, you're going to see yours is like kind of that.
Yeah.
Right. So you want to create more space with this, which means this dot has to come over closer and this dot has to come down a little bit further. And then I think it's going to be easier to make these other shapes. Most of the other things look okay.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Anybody else? Let's keep going. And this is the hard part, honestly, and you guys are doing great. It's easy to get lost in this. It's easy also and we get tired, right? So we stop looking. So the sort of lesson of this is that we're constantly returning to the first thing we put in and we're drawing lines that aren't there to try and make us feel better. Okay, sorry, Agatha, what a bummer. All right, yep. We'll see you later. What happens is we add things that aren't there to make us feel better, to make us see them, but they aren't necessarily what's there. There are left-brained conceptual idea of what's there. It is the concept of a petal. It is not the actual petal, right? And that's the hardest thing to wrap your mind around, is that, yes, you know, you're drawing a flower with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 petals, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 little stamen here, right? Like little, but where they go totally is in relation to, you know, where they are, you know, what this particular flower is doing. And even when you do have it, which I pretty much have down right here, it's not satisfying as a drawing. It's really unsatisfying. It's kind of like, but this is exactly where you need to go first. We go with our bigger shapes, and we go with our shapes in relation to the negative space and in relation to the first thing that we drew, so that we have things in the right proportions. So that's how you get it. Congratulations. So you now have learned, when you all ask me, how do you get things in the right proportion? It's a pain in the ass. You're constantly having to check, did I get this in the right place? Did I get this in the right place? It's crazy. Did I get this shape right? Did I get this shape right? As I said, I've done this lesson like 1,000 times, and even I had to adjust. So it's really the tedious part of drawing, and but what I like to think is, to me, it's easier for me to know if I start with my outside shapes and then kind of carve them in, and then from there I start with my lights, my mediums, and my darks. It's going to get, once you get this, you can erase these negative space lines. But take your time to get there. If you think you've got it, send it over. And then all of a sudden, right, I take away the guidelines that I used for the negative space, and all of a sudden it looks a little bit better. It won't really look better until we start adding in these lights, mediums, and darks. And once I see your shapes kind of corrected. By the way, Joanne, I think that was pretty good, considering that you were looking at it going the opposite direction. Like, oh my God. What a mind bender. Anik, much better. Well, Anik, almost there. You're missing one thing, and that is, here, I'm going to pop it up and show you, and it's an easy fix. Yep. Also, yeah, and notice Anik has added in all the sort of wavy lines, the sort of curved lines. You don't have to, you can or you don't have to at this point. Here, hold on, sharing. And you'll see it right away when I pull this up. Notice, where is your point here for the end of the flower?
Yeah.
Whoops, it's way too low, and it's all the way over. So that's really, so remember, it's directly underneath. It's probably about here where my pointer is. Yep. And that just means you correct this line, which will correct that line. And here's the thing. Oh yeah, Echo looks much better. Much better. Looks great. Good fixes. I know she has to make work calls. I'm going to tell her. All right, let me stop the share. This is the tedious part. And I don't want you jumping into shading yet. Absolutely no shading until we talk about it. So I want to see your outside shapes fixed. I don't want to see shading. I'm such a little dictator this morning. Only because I know we want to, right? So part of learning to draw and exercising your right brain is learning what we do when, right? And when we add detail. And we can't get the details right if we don't have the overall shapes right. So there is a logical, it's called construction, right? What is proper drawing construction? No one teaches themselves to do this. I have not met one person in the 15 years. I've met people who are really good drawers, but I've met no one who teaches themselves to draw this way. And when you start to have problems, it's always related to not getting this. Let's see. Oh, okay. So Dorian Sola, you've almost got it right. Here's the one thing you're missing, and I'll show you can see it right here. So great, by the way, great job. And wonderful fixes. Let me pull you up on share. And you'll see it when you see it. Okay. So notice where this line doesn't go this way. It goes slightly to this direction. You see how you have it going absolutely the opposite direction? This line comes down. So your point for your a little bit to the left of this point. So that's where your, whoops, how do I, dang it. So here is where your petal, this petal should end. It shouldn't go that way. It should be going this way. And then that will change the shape of this. And then you've got it. Great work. And you see how you can work with it? You can work with this, right? Like, even if you don't get it right, it doesn't mean you have to erase the whole thing. There is a kind of obsessive compulsive part of drawing that makes us want to get everything perfect on the first go. And if you don't get everything perfect, you start it over again, which is absurd. It's like a maddening. Nice, Angie. Excellent. Was this helpful to you? Oh, there's one little fix, just a teeny fix, but mostly this is looking great. Can I show it to you? Yeah. Okay. Just to like sort of emphasize a point, but beautiful work. Was this a weird way of doing it for you, or did you like it?
I liked it actually.
Yeah, it's helpful,
I have
right?
difficulty with proportion in general. I think like the thing you said.
Everybody does.
Yeah, so like
you and 100% of other people do. 100% of people have difficulty with proportion.
It's very difficult to believe that when everyone, you go on Instagram and everybody's got perfect proportion. So it's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, like said, that's because you're not watching them draw.
Have that issue. Like they don't begin with shapes. They begin with things inside or lines.
And that's a mistake. That's a mistake. It's the biggest drawing mistake you can ever make. It's logically makes no sense. And that's where people go wrong. And do you guys remember Gina? I've talked to you about Gina, right? Who is, Gina Chua, who was your sort of vice in charge before she left to go to this new company. Do you know Gina Chua? She used to be in charge of the newsroom under the current boss, the Italian woman. I forgot her name. Anyway, Gina is an amazing drawer. Gina taught herself to draw that way. And every time she has a problem, it's always related to this. So here's what I wanted to show you. Can you see this line? So yours is a little bit here. Hold on. Let me pull it up and let me see if I've got it. Are we looking at yours, Angie, now? So if you look here, you'll see that this line, there's like a little straight horizontal line that there's more space here. So that we kind of cut in a little bit here more. And that sort of shows the flower thrusting in a certain direction. Yeah. So anyway, my whole point of this is that you can be a fantastic drawer and still fuck this stuff up if you don't know how to do it. So any artist that really knows what they're doing will not draw like that. They won't start from the beginning and go outward. If they're doing that, they're what I would call an amateur. They're an amateur. They're just doing, they don't know what they're doing. They're doing it, they are going to come, you're going to run into trouble in some cases. And this is how you do it. And the reason we don't do it this way is because it's tedious and a little bit mathy. like it's a little bit like logical, like mathy. All right. I think we're kind of there. So we're going to move to the next step here, which is going to be a lot more fun. You remember we talked last week in about shading, about value, right? The lightness or darkness of any color. So value, if one is light, how many values are in this flower? And for the purposes of this exercise, consider this one value, even though it looks a little mottled. Consider this just a single value. How many values are in this flower?
3.
3. Any other guesses?
I'd say 4 at least.
Yeah, at least 4. And if you count the outside, 5. Right? So this is 1, that's 2, that's 3, and then the darkest is 4. These things, those things, and the outside is light. I recommend we go 1 to 4. Right? So we go from, so you don't actually, my recommendation is that you don't like actually do anything in the light areas. Let's just leave them light. But if you want to, you can try and shade them. So the key here is 1 petal at a time. And we're going to ignore these dark curved lines and these dots until the very end. So now we're going to lay in our light, medium, and our dark. So that's light, that's medium, and that's dark. And what is that like, by the way? What did we do last week that this reminds us of? The sphere, do you remember? We went from light. So that means this part is light, this part is starting to turn away, and this part is the darkest. So we're going to actually start right here. I'm going to draw this bigger shape first. The light and the medium goes to about there. And then, yes, now I can add in that. And then my medium comes in here. And then here's the tricky part. I need to make sure that my dark looks dark compared to my medium. There needs to be good contrast. I'm just going to leave this white. And at this point, I might also kind of try and curve things a little bit more, like what's happening. In some places it's curved, in some places it isn't. And notice that this shape starts here at the center and goes out and then comes back in. It's a mind bender, isn't it? Drawing is so mind bending. It's so intellectually intense. There is an entire intellectual thing happening that's going on here. People who naturally, by the way, Echo, you look great. Your thing looked great, so you're doing great. You're gonna start with, we're doing, yes, I see. You're gonna start with the petals, the shading on this petal. And we started by drawing the outside shape of both the medium and the dark, and then we added in the medium, and then we put in the values.
I'm back. Sorry, I had to make a few calls for work.
That's okay. Did you hear anything that I just said as I was talking?
No,
to you?
because I was on the call with a couple.
Oh, sorry.
people,
I was just
muted
like,
everything.
I saw you come back and I saw you say you were back.
Yes.
All right. So your shape looks good. So now we're adding in, we're noticing that there are 4 values in this flower.
Okay.
And this is a light, this is a medium, this is like 1, this is a 2, this is a 3, and these dark, this first thing that we drew, and these dark curved lines and dots are 4. So you're going to ignore the curved lines and the dots right now. You're going to be drawing in the outer shape right here. I'm going to do it again. You're going to be drawing in the outer shape of the medium and the dark. And then you're going to draw that shape in, and then you're going to color it in. There you go. You guys are doing great, by the way. And let me know when you're ready. We'll go to the next petal. Just give me a shout. Are you guys ready to go to the next petal, or you want a minute?
A quick minute, but
okay, yeah.
so
I'll give you.
Leah, you said this is a 4. So half of the petal is 4. The other half is a 2.
Wrong. Wrong. Sorry. Everything about that was wrong. Sorry. So no, I did not say that. What I said was there are 4 values in this petal, and this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, and these things are 4.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And does this look like a half to you? No, it does not. These are divided into basically thirds, but not even that. So do you see how your left brain is fucking with your head?
Right.
Like, it's not helping you. It does not pick up the right words. It's like, so what I said was draw the shape around the dark, the medium and the dark, the 2 and the 3. If you want me to be very specific. And then you draw the line delineating 3 and 2, and then you shake. Right? That's the way. Sorry, wrong. I'm so sorry, Echo.
That's okay. Because I missed the other part. I figured I might be wrong, but
I have a student. Yes. No. Yeah. Sorry. I sometimes
so
I have a student that actually is always telling me I sound too harsh. And I told her, she's not in this class, unfortunately. I'm like, just tell me when I start sounding too harsh.
No, I'm totally fine with all that. I just, so the darkest part of the petal, that's a 4, like the lower
It's a 3.
It's a 3, okay.
Well,
so
these are, well, no, okay. So it depends on what you're talking about.
Okay.
So I think that's where, okay, I'm going to say it one more time. And I want you to really follow what I'm saying. On the petal itself, right? There are 3 values, 1, 2, and 3. Right. The 4th value is these dark, the value that's darkest are these curved and straight lines and dots. And they're the darkest. Got it?
Okay.
So we're ignoring the 4s right now, and we're focusing on 1, 2, and 3.
I see.
That's what that is. And the other thing that we were talking about is, if you remember last week when we did a sphere, it went from light to medium to dark, right? You remember that? Light, to medium to dark. So the same thing is happening with this petal. And the key to kind of showing things going back in space is to have good value definition, right? So what this means is that these petals, right, the light's coming down here, it's hitting here, which means these petals are closest to the light. And as they
Right.
turn away, they go from medium to dark. Just like we did with our little sphere last week.
I see.
Yeah.
And so on the petal, there are no fours. There are only 3, 2.
No, there is a petal on the floor, but it's the last thing we'll add. It's these
Yes,
things.
I
Yeah,
see.
but the petal itself, the shading on the petal is 3.
Okay.
But the 4 is these dots in circle, but this is good. And we're ignoring these right now. We're going to
I
add them
see.
in later.
Okay, I see.
Now I want to know what the phone call was that you just had, because it completely moved you out of this. Was it really complicated?
So it's like because I cover private equity, and then there's a bigger, like a pretty big deal we're chasing. So basically calling people to ask them if that is happening.
Got it. Got
And,
it. No, yeah. So your brain, look at what happens to your brain. So that's what happened is you moved out of right brain, and it's quite a disruption, right? The left
Very
brain.
much,
And now you're like trying to get back into right brain, and it's a struggle. This might be a great time for everybody to stop what they're doing and write 3 words that describe how you feel and be dead honest. All right. These look pretty good to me, you guys. So I'm going to go on to the second petal. Once again, we're ignoring the this petal, which is down here. We're ignoring the dots and the lines. We're going to ignore these 4 dots and lines right now. We're going to focus on just the shading on the petal. So here, I like to actually just start here. I'm going to do this here so you can see it really well. Instead of drawing the entire shape of this petal, I'm drawing once again a little envelope of shape. So that means I'm starting here. I'm doing this little donut. And then I'm going to go up to here to the center, and then I'm going to curve in. And I'm going to make sure I have a little bit of white, little bit of 1 that I've left here. There's a little bit of 1 right there. You can see that little shape. This is a hugely important shape. And then you have 2 choices. You can kind of just darken and color the edge. Right, like that. And then you can just do the rest of this medium. Or you can try and kind of carve in the shape a little bit. Right? I could just do this and erase, make that white, or 1, I should say, make that kind of a 1. See that? I can do it either way. Either way, it works out pretty well. So we're so the other thing that's sort of tricky about drawing is we get distracted. The detail really distracts us. It really does. So this stuff, this junk on the top, these darks, these mediums, these lights, this is detail that's very distracting. And so we often want to save this for last, because this is something that once I get these bigger light, medium, and dark shapes in on my petal, it's going to be easier for me to add the lines, the detail, these little dark 4 level details. Let me take a look at where you guys are. Angie looks great. I like your values. Oh, that's too bad. She's gone. All right. I'll give you a minute to catch up. So once again, notice what I'm missing here. What I'm missing here, what I don't have yet are my lines and my dots. I don't have my lines and my dots. I do have these bigger shaded shapes. And notice how much they look like the sphere. Each of the petals looks like the sphere from last week. From light to medium to dark, which conveys this gentle sense of turning. There we go. Right? That's how you show turning. And contrast is everything here. We often, because we're working on a flat surface, right? So we have to create the illusions of 3 dimensions. Contrast between light, medium, and dark is huge. Being able to show a big difference between those is what really conveys. So we often exaggerate the value changes because they help us create a sense of turning. When you think you've got this next petal, send it over. Now, here's the thing, and with a subject like this, there's some kind of fudginess you can get away with the shape, and it still looks pretty good because it's a flower. But once you start getting into more detailed things, let's see. Nice, Anik, beautiful. I love that. Gorgeous. Echo, excellent. Echo, excellent. Oh, so Echo, you went too far. Pull
Oh,
back.
yes, I was confused because I thought I missed that much.
No,
so
no,
I-
no, no.
Okay.
We're just right there. So
Okay.
erase the last 2 and I'll walk you through them.
Okay,
And
okay.
the only thing you're missing here is, and you're back. I can feel you're back. You're back in the game. The only thing you're missing here, and I'm going to point it out here, you don't have this, see this dark edge? You're
Right.
missing it. Yes.
Okay.
Let's
That's
see.
the 3 also?
Yeah, that's 3. Oh, beautiful, Doyen Sola. Gorgeous contrast. Very nice. And excellent. I love, it's funny, when you look at the things that are important in a drawing, some details are important, some are not. This little pip here of 1 that exists between the C of 3 and 2 is very important because it shows this little bit of the flower sticking up, right? So it's actually really key, even though it's a small area. It's really key in like showing 3-dimensional form, even though it's a small shape. It's a pretty important one. Let's go on to the next petal. Let's see here. I'm gonna do this. Yes, so I'm going to draw the shape around so you can see it. All right, so the next petal here is the outer shape. So notice there's a little bit of light on this side. So don't bring this all the way to the edge. You're going to go here at the center and you're going to do a little curve out. Right now we can add in that curve, and then you're going to start here, go up through the center, do an angle line, and then go all the way in to the center like that. And then your dark kind of goes along the right edge. Right? And your light. And I can see that I could like pull in my shape a little bit more. So I'm like kind of thinning out this shape a little bit as I go. Sometimes you can see it better when you've got your shading in. So the adjustments are kind of constantly happening. And then very quickly, I'm going to show you the last 2 steps, and then I'm going to have you guys just start working. So look up for just a second, and then we'll go. So these 3 petals follow the sphere, like right principle, which is that light hits from this direction, and the lightest part is closest to the light, and as the petal turns away, right, or the ball or the sphere turns away, it gets medium, and then it gets darker, right? So it's like light, medium, dark, dark, medium, light, light, medium, dark. These last 2 petals have a slightly different orientation with their shadow. Because the light's coming right down, they are kind of dark here in the center, splaying out. And then this medium comes in like this. So it's like dark here. And then the medium is like, it's surrounded by white or light on either side by 1. So the 2 is kind of surrounded. Rather than going 1, 2, 3, the medium is kind of in the center of the petal, and there is light on either side. It just gets dark towards the center here. And then your last, and then here there's like just 3 little strips of medium kind of coming up from the center. So your last job will be to go over and redarken these, right? You can make them dark because these are 4. They're darker than anything else. And then once you get your shading in here, you can start to add in these dots and these curved lines. There's like a couple up here, right? There's 1 or 2. And then once again, I would say follow along with the actual source, which I've sent across on the thread. I've now like drawn on this so much, you probably can't. Maybe I can find another one, right? So now this is the point where you start to add things. And then all of a sudden your flower starts to change, starts to look like a flower. Let me see, what is the easiest thing I can do? And we've got plenty of time. We've got like another 40 minutes. So we've got plenty of time for you to finish this flower. And now I am giving you permission, once you finish this flower, to go ahead and add other elements to this drawing. Keep working on this flower. Do something that will finish this flower. And you can use the source to add more stuff to it. But I want you to finish this drawing now, doing whatever you want. Yeah, so Sola, I wonder if instead of working on your laptop, you work on an iPad or your phone. And then that might make it easier to see. Maybe that flips it around the right way. Who knows?
Yeah, I'm going to try what she mentioned, is to join in the future via the app instead of the browser.
Do you want to try that right now?
Yeah.
Can you do it?
I usually have trouble signing in.
Okay, I don't want to mess with it, but I'm just like, I can tell it's messing with you know what I mean? Like, it's just,
Yeah.
I would be confused if I was having to translate everything.
I'm going to try for next week to.
All right, let's do it next week. That's
Yeah.
great. And then, yeah, anyway. And if you guys have questions as you're going through this, do it. If you don't want to talk, that's totally great too. It's also a good time to like kind of focus into the drawing and get connected. And notice how the left brain really does intrude upon. This is why nobody really learns to draw, because we're so in left brain from the moment of our birth to learn how to talk. Sometimes in more than one language, right? In one or several languages, that like that's really the part of the brain that's in charge. And it's the one that wants to jump in. And it just often is like, it's not as helpful when you're trying to exercise the right brain, which is more about how pieces fit together visually and spatially. Also a very logical system, but a completely different one, with different words, with different, like, phrases, with very specific terminology. I'll be right back. How's it going? Thumbs up.
Yeah, it's good. Sorry, I had to take another call. It just
It's okay. It just,
sometimes
girl,
class.
it is the week before the US presidential election. I'm sure everybody's beats are going bananas right now.
I know, and unfortunately for my beat, it's very often on Sundays we have to work. It's
Ugh,
I know. Anyways, I'm trying.
keep going back and forth. It's good.
Okay.
Don't worry. Ani, how does it feel to do this?
Oh, it's always good. I mean, you know, I like it because it shows me how much I still have ahead of me and how many things I can look forward to. Plus, this is also a thing that I should be doing, like drawing more, because it really helps with the construction. It's
It helps with
exactly-
your painting.
Yeah,
Right.
it does. It really, really, really does. Because with painting, it feels on one side like easier because you're doing it with the brush, but on the other hand, it's so easy that sometimes I forget the basics, and then I look at my like my
Mhm.
composition and it's like, what
Mhm.
happened here?
And particularly with what you're working with right now,
Yep.
right? Like the real challenge. My Saturday class is doing faces right now.
I've
And
seen
and
that.
I mean, we are like going eyes 2 hours, like nose, right? Like hour.
Yep, and that's
Before-
really, really good.
For me, because I'm a little bit more like you, I kind of prefer to draw with the brush rather than the pencil. It helped me to embrace drawing when I realized that I learned to draw through paint. So it helped me understand, oh, there's still drawing happening here.
Mm-hmm.
There's still drawing
Yeah.
babies. And as I
No
said,
escaping.
I mean, the thing that blows my mind is how, like, even somebody who's really good at this, like Gina,
Mm.
draw, like, she still also gets stuck on the same things that that are kind of the principles of this lesson.
Yeah. This is like basically, the moment of checking how far you've gone with
Yes.
your drawing. When you go back, even a
Yep.
few steps, and simply do the exactly simple lily that actually right now drives me crazy.
Yes.
Because I know that I've messed up something, I just don't know yet what. Plus, again, I think it's like left brain, right brain thingy. I basically see that in my mind, this picture is a watercolor painting, and I cannot have problem. I kind of have problems escaping that the stain here, like the fact that it's not drawn, it's painted, and it derails all my efforts to keep.
Your lines, because you have to make your
Yeah.
pencil do brush.
Yep, and it basically triggers me immediately. I just thought like, oh, I would do this with this and that, and this is wet on wet or something like
Right.
that.
Exactly. Have you been able to sit in on it? Have you been able to watch any of the watercolor videos?
No, not yet. I mean, I'm thinking about going back to watercolors, but I have to kind of restrain myself because I still have a few things that I need to test with the acrylic. And
Right.
I have the impression if I go now to the watercolors back, I'm gonna be lost.
You'll miss it. Yeah, you'll miss it.
I just have to also kind of have a discipline of finish one thing, finish this project, and then then go crazy.
I'm
That's
trying to
why.
figure out how to structure, if I should structure classes any differently next year. Like,
Mhm.
it would be nice to get some more beginning painting to New York,
Yeah.
right? To like, but right now we don't really exactly have a groundswell. So I'm hoping if I do more beginning drawing lessons next year in the winter, that by spring maybe we can start introducing some painting
Yeah.
to those groups. But what we have right here is quite a nice group, right? We have a great group of people from all over. So we could carry you through. And in fact, if you guys want another lesson, you want me to add a 5th lesson onto this chain, I will totally do it. It's not a problem for me. I just didn't want to like overload anybody, you know, I didn't want to overcommit anybody. I know how busy you are, but maybe we'll do 5 lessons. And then that'll carry you through until the next year. And then what usually happens is I schedule a bunch of lessons. I'm going to try and schedule another beginning drawing teacher at this time in January. So you'll get an entirely different instruction than you would from me. But she's very good, and I know you'll get everything that you need from her. Like, I completely trust her to and to kind of. So that's kind of my thought process. I'm meeting with her tomorrow to find out when she's free. Great. Yeah. And now, of course, guys, once you've kind of finished this flower to your satisfaction, add these other elements into it. Whatever else you have time for, you can just copy from here. You can make up your own stuff. Now I'm like, just do whatever you want.
Do we then erase the like
These guys?
yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll be very satisfying. Yeah, the thing that's kind of weird about drawing is that you're kind of the sometimes you're reorganizing shapes differently depending on what task you're doing. So that in itself is a whole thing. And this time next week, doing it in Echo and I will know. Perhaps whether we've entered into the 5th dimension of hell or like whether we are like actually going forward. I think that's a pretty accurate way of describing it. I don't know about you guys.
I honestly would like this week to be over.
I know. If you're in this, you should be here in the States. I think people are losing their minds. It's so hard.
Honestly, kind of scary Tuesday.
It's terrifying. this is a part of the video where I'm like, is everybody really bored just looking at the video? But my hope is that, you know, people are working along with you. Let's see. Ooh, lovely, Anik. I love
Thank
it.
you.
Go ahead and add a teeny. Do you have a little bit more time, or do you want to give yourself some time before Lotto's
I
class?
I was thinking that actually I wanted to abandon this right now as it
Okay,
is.
start
but
working on your other thing. If you want to start working on your other
Yep.
thing, do it. And he's going to roll in about 10 or 15 minutes anyway.
I will.
So I realized that I recorded, like, because I gave Lotto the hosting privileges before I left, like, I think we recorded the entire class last week and then his entire class. So this week I will make sure to stop the recording before I hand over hosting privileges to him. Yeah, funny.
Um, oh, it's really lovely to go back for a moment.
Right? You were
The-
right
the
to do it.
drawing.
It's good. And this is a good, a nice 4-hour chunk for you before you start your week.
Yes, because usually during the week it's more difficult to find time to paint, but luckily there's Sunday
Yeah.
with Leah and Lado.
Yes, there we go. I know for a long time, Lotto really wanted me to join that class with him. And finally, I had to say very gently, Lotto, I teach 4 classes a week. I don't, I need a break. I hired you, so I don't have to like be there. And he was like, oh, but it is nice. He is such a lovely guy.
He is, and I'm honestly saying, I'm glad that you convinced me to join that class also, because I remember you telling me, oh, you need to try this, you need to try this.
You'll
and
love him.
then-
Yeah. He's great. He's a really great
Yeah.
teacher. I mean, he's a very different kind of teacher. He's doing a very different thing. And I think it's really helpful for people, particularly those of you who've been working for years and years on this. You know, you need that.
Different voices, yeah, like
Different voices. I can't wait for you to meet the new drawing teacher, Teresa. She's amazing. She's a great.
I'm gonna come. Let's see.
Yeah.
That's where I'm. That's where I am also with the project for Lado. If you wanna have a look, Leah.
Let's see. Oh, that's coming along. Oh, yes. I had a thought about that. Can I tell you what I was thinking?
Yes, of course, always.
So it's looking great. And only because I just finished a piece that's very much like it it's on my easel right now. So one of the things I wanted to show you, I wonder if I should just send it across. Can I send across what I've done to show you where I think
Yes,
it would be nice to
definitely.
work? Okay, here, hold on. Let me pop it over. Okay, I'm going to send it in beginning drawing because that's where we are right now. But so this is a piece. It's so much like what you're doing. There you go. So this is what we call a ponderosa pine.
Yes. Oh, this one is beautiful.
Thank you. And it's got similar, it's not the same leaves as yours because they're pine needles, right? That go in little, like here, like this, that go in little like
Spiky
clusters, like little fingers like that. But it is also these like little tiny leaves and groups. And so what I want you to notice there is that I really pushed the light parts of the tree leaves in clusters coming forward. So where I worked the detail was really exaggerating the light areas and pushing back the dark areas. And also bringing the leaves over the trunk. So what I was noticing in your piece is that you have a little along the top of your trunk, you have a little blue edge of sky where you don't bring leaves in, around, forward.
Yeah, that does,
So,
yes.
so when you're kind of trying to do finishing stuff, it's easy to get caught up in like the detail of every single leaf. But really what I want you to think about is the detail goes in the transitions from the clusters that come forward, the clusters that come back, and the kind of randomness of what is coming over and what is coming. So the leaves that are in the background, right? Those yellow leaves in the background, obviously you would probably have another cluster that's a little bit closer. That's coming over the front. And so that's where you should be addressing your detail, is area, like little clusters of leaves that are a little bit bigger, a little bit more detail, probably a shift in value, probably slightly brighter, or coming over to, so that you don't have this little blue edge that goes all the way up.
Yes, I mean there's way more leaves in a source picture.
You're right.
This is not even like close to them, but what you're saying is actually a very good point. And
I mean, I
was
can see it
wondering
without
how
even looking at your source, right? Like that's how, so it's similar to how I taught you about trunks, right? In a forest, right? You look at the pieces that are up front, and that's where you offer the detail. And then everything else is kind of in size and mark making and color, a little bit smaller, a little bit looser, a little bit muted around it. But that's kind of the key. So if you can see in that ponderosa pine, there are areas where I brought clusters of leaves over the front. There are areas where I brought, but really where I pushed the detail is where a light edge meets a darker edge. Yeah. And I wondered about this one. I actually thought it was going to be harder, and I decided it was done at this point because I didn't want to like explain. I mean, I could spend a lot more time going over the detail of every single little edge, right? Like where everything meets everything else. But I was like, I don't actually want that. I want it to be a little bit looser. I think it's effective. And there's maybe two places I might work just a little bit. Where trunks are, but I mostly think it's done. Because I don't want to over explain things, right? Like I want to leave a little bit to the imagination, or I want it to feel more like a painting and less like a photograph. So is that helpful to look at those things?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, for me, the difficulty here was like how to arrange even the effort of painting. In what stages, you know, how from where to start, because I mean
it's the areas that are closest.
It's
the areas that are closest, right?
But yeah, exactly. But at the same time, the left brain says like, oh, it starts with the detail, and the right brain was saying,
but
like,
you can't do the detail.
You cannot.
You cannot. It's not actually, it's an impossible exercise. So like start with thinking about what you want to emphasize, what's up front. And that's usually the areas that are closer to you. So you have the trunks down. Now you need to look at the groups of leaves and see what clusters of leaves are closer. So when I sketched this out, I even have my source material. What's it? When I sketched this out, here's somewhere. Yes, when I decided what I wanted to do, I'm going to pop this up. Here's the photograph. Right? There's a photograph. When I decided what I wanted to do, I was like, here, here, and here are the areas I'm emphasizing, right? Like here, this is like the areas that are closest. These are the lightest. They have the most detail.
Mhm.
And so this is where I returned to again and again when I was working. I got everything kind of down as reds, and then I started laying darker greens on top. And then I began bringing in bits of sky, but also bringing in the lights on top of the greens, but letting some of that darker green come through. But really, my whole point was to decide this area is what I want to bring forward. And you'll notice I pushed it more than is what is actually there, but it's effective. It works for this particular, and this really pushes back because it's darker and yeah. So that's really how I organized and kept going back again and again. It wasn't to individual leaves. It was to, oh, what do I want to come? What is the group that the cluster of items that needs to come forward?
Yeah.
That's
It
that.
makes all the picture dance.
Yeah. And I don't even have to look at your picture to know that that's what you're missing right now, right? I don't even have to look at your source to see what you're missing. You can already tell, right? That's the piece that needs to be kind of explained right now.
I mean, definitely.
And you know, you don't have to do it exactly like what's there, but it helps because you know, you set up this light source, you've obviously collected that composition. So look at those areas. Can you guys believe, hey, Dorian and Echo, can you believe we're almost at the end of class? Does it feel like you just went through 40 minutes?
Yes, I know. It's time really went very fast.
I want you to hold up where you are. You don't have to stop.
Okay.
I just want you to hold up where you are.
Oh, okay.
Oh, beautiful. Oh my God, it's beautiful. They're beautiful. Please send them across the thread. Are you like totally pleased with yourself right now? You should be. You should be pleased. What I want you to do is stop for a second, write down 3 words that describe how you feel right now. And then we're going to go through. We'll do them all. I did them. So we all did them. So where did I write my first ones? I don't remember. I'll start with me. I started out feeling pretty good actually, because I had an extra hour of sleep. So I felt kind of focused. I hadn't had too much coffee, right? I was able to get things done. It was lighter outside. I felt pretty calm and focused. In the middle of class, I was a little bit frustrated and worried, right? That I wasn't explaining things well. And then by the end of class, I feel very happy, very pleased, and very impressed. So notice there's a trajectory there. And it doesn't necessarily, it's not like everything's great, right? Usually in the middle, there's some kind of source of frustration. And that's really valid. That's part of the arc of where we're going to. That's actually in that moment is when, if you can live with it in that moment of frustration, is where you're learning. And that's the thing that is hard to kind of hold on to because, like, you know, you want to know and you don't. And there's no way through it except to do it. So, Anik, what about you? What were your words?
I was thinking that I was late a little bit, and I was because of that I was nervous. And then when you asked us to write 3 words, I just wrote 3 times confused because it was all the process, adjusting to the process, and then also the fact that I couldn't just shake off this. This is in watercolor. I should be doing the watercolor, not drawing.
Right.
and
now at the end.
And at the end, I'm kind of like relieved because. I always worry about this moment when I was worried when I feel this exactly frustration during the process.
Middle.
And in the middle somewhere, you know, that I'm gonna muck it up, I'm gonna just destroy what I'm working on. And when I'm past this, there's a kind of such a wonderful relief, satisfaction, I don't know, just feeling of something successful, simply.
That's really great. Hey, Dorian, what about you?
Sure. So joining class, I felt a bit sluggish, sleepy. I also felt peckish, but then I solved that by running and getting a little snack.
Yes.
Halfway through class, I felt focused and determined, but then also a little frustrated because I was just like,
Right, because of the whole switching thing.
yeah, and just
Valid.
trying to like figure it out, you know. And at the end, I do feel accomplished and pleased, and joyful. Like I feel like it was definitely a journey.
Isn't that great? I
Yeah.
love that
Right.
shift. I love that in 2 hours. Oh, and poor Echo has to be on the phone again. Darn it. All right. How about you, Echo? You've had quite the.
I know. So in the beginning, at the beginning of the class, I felt anxious because
Okay.
it's running around the whole morning trying to get a million things done, and I had just
Right.
a minute to sit down. So I was still
Right.
kind of digesting all that. But also I
Mhm.
feel pretty calm because sat here, I know we're gonna have 2 hours of drawing, which I was looking forward to. So that was like
Right.
nice. And also I felt sore because I worked out yesterday.
Good.
In the middle of the class, when you asked us to record our feelings again, I had 2 words. I felt anxious and
Right.
I felt annoyed because of my work thing.
Right.
Then because I had this Teams call, I hope that was going on nonstop, and I was oh my god,
Right.
what did I miss? And oh, I need to call this person, that person, that person. So I was like, oh, I wish I could have this 2 hours in peace. So I was a bit
Right.
annoyed by that.
How do you feel now?
I feel focused and then calm and actually a little bit surprised because I didn't think this would work, but actually it worked.
It
I
did.
thought, okay, I can draw a flower petal.
Hey, Ladochka. We're just wrapping up. I want to commend you guys because I don't know. Here, hold on. I'm gonna stop the recording.